Okay, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. This is the one that's infamous for 6 seconds. There's like a panty shop of some kind. It's... Yep, well, technically that's the second one. It's pretty ominous music, that, isn't it? Also, I think it's... I do know that like the way the Japanese system is that the school year like ends or begins, I think, in the beginning of spring. That's why you see cherry blossoms. I think that's what I remember. You could say. So apparently Skune is just completely screwed, and his friends just abandon him. Goodbye, Skune. They just leave him. Why does his dad look younger than he does? Also, isn't like the mum the only character in this who actually, wears jeans, so they can't do an upskirt shot? I swear she is. Back at my old school, you would have been thrown off the bus if you had a pink phone. Just saying that. Oh yes, of course, just the ominous scarecrow and the blood-coloured sea. That walk though. it's and Skune's dead. Actually, both of them are, to be honest. Jesus Christ. That's like a really desperate shot for like a really desperate angle to get. Apparently, Luis Suarez over here wants to just bite Skune for the rest of the show. It's... Even if I didn't know squat about Japanese, I could have taken a stab that apparently neko meant cat. Also, it's a little bit... As you're about to, I think you're about to realise is that the show is not particularly very subtle, you might say. Even yokai translates to monster, so... Again, they are like really pushing it with these angles and that. That's... I didn't realise it was as... I knew it was bad before, but this is like... really something. Actually, you know what? Since we're nowhere even close to the halfway point, but by this show's logic and that, by doing the little twirly Rosario thing, I may as well. I remember when I said like earlier in that I think I was like I was in my teenage years when I started watching this, and I was, even though I was very critical about the show even back then. Oh my god, it's outstanding because I know fine well there's problems in that I have. Even back in the day, there were problems I had with anime is for what it was doing and that, and well, not so much for what it was doing, but the way they did it. Like, even I've noticed that it's very heavily reliant on dialogue and exposition. And I know that's kind of like important to just like establish this world, and I know it's like, but I think I suppose the question is, well, what if I wrote this story? What would I change? And there would be a few things I would change, but some things are kind of... Actually, that's very, very... I'm not gonna... I'm gonna try and like just let's get back into this. But I'm a stickler for putting ideas and thoughts into my own head, and I think I've come up with a... I'll explain a little bit more about that later. I need a sweet... 1 second. Like... Again, just... What group of kids just like hang around the window like that? Have they never seen girls before? And... Oh, right, yeah, of course. You know, he hasn't like really got any really defined muscles in that. You would have thought that, even by the logic of the show, that'd be, you know. Ugh. Also, I've never thought about this before, but the show has no problems whatsoever with like shooting, even in a mid-level shot, they would have no problem with just revealing a girl's underwear. But when they're just looking at somebody's chest, they are very reserved and almost Catholic about this approach. I've never noticed about that before, but that's kind of like, See, there. Sorry, I have to pause this because this is a really friggin' stupid idea. So you mean to tell me about like 5 minutes ago, when there was just a mid-level shot, apparently Mocha, about at the back of Mocha's skirt, it's so short you can see just about pretty much at the level of her arsehole, let's say. I don't even know why I'm thinking about that. And then 5 seconds ago, look, it just stops. That's so basically there'll be one shot where her from her buttocks are like this, about like must be about this big, and then it's like this, like the size of like the size of a loaf of bread, really. Like that's another problem I've had with anime in the past is, so you're not going to get consistency 100%, but then there's things that just make you go, hang on a minute, why are they doing it here, and why suddenly have they stopped, and why have they developed modesty 12 minutes in, and they've been doing these shots for at least, I'm trying to keep track, like 8 times at this point. Actually, let's say 10, because let's say once per minute by this show's reckoning. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? Doesn't run very fast, does he? Also, again, take note of just how long Mocha's skirt was in that shot compared to earlier. Also, judging from that, I'm going to take the impression that Mocha said she was a vampire to literally every single person she ever met. Not too sure if I would have done that, but actually, no, I wouldn't, but I mean, it's not really that. It's like the logic of from the logic of this show, apparently just anyone can go in, so. Also, hang on. I'm pretty sure that's the exact same sequence of motion that they use, but that's another problem I've just noticed with this show as well, is that they will reuse assets or will stick onto or stick onto an image for nearly 3 whole seconds just to cut corners. And I don't even think Gonzo is really that. Gonzo, even back in when was this like developed, like 2008 or something like that? Gonzo, I thought, was doing pretty well at the time, and if I have an answer to that, because listen, I don't work for Gonzo, but I do know quite a lot about the sort of like the political mechanics of industry. I'm just going to continue with this. I'll rant later somewhere. Neither does apparently having your mouth go up and down when you talk either. Good thing his pants stayed on. I don't even understand what the purpose of this is supposed to be either. It's just an excuse to kind of have a, like, I don't know, armpit fetish or something? I don't know. Schooner, you're going to pick a guy who has more earrings than Boy George. This shouldn't be too hard. Did Boy George even have the... I don't know anymore. I quite like this idea of just like the bad... Yeah. Also, again, just a little quick mention: don't pay too much close attention if when they say S-class super monster or S-class, or that means absolutely nothing to anything. So, I like dubs quite a lot and all that, but there are some things that just don't really need to be here, and that there's a lot of that down the line as well. Sorry. I'll say see again. He went down after one kick. Schooner should have. Oh, this show. Oh boy. Or how our clothes even still fit. Well, that's kind of like another cliche we can tick off the list. Right. Okay. So that's gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the bloody. That's like okay. Like right. I think the last time I watched Rosario Vampire, like the very last time I remember watching it, I was late 2015, over 5 years ago since I've last saw this, technically. However, and I'm gonna say this right now because I don't know how well this is gonna age. Well, this video or what I'm about to say is that, despite the problems, and there are a lot of problems, and there are a lot more to come. In fact, I even remember famously writing in, it was like a mock script of for Capu 2, is that I felt like the first episode of the show it's a bit like Marvel, in that the first episode is actually the best episode. And I mentioned that because, well, for reasons I can't quite remember at this point, because I can't just, again, remember everything off the top of my head about this show. But again, despite the problems of, let's say, inconsistencies with with the animation, inconsistencies with let's call it the choreography. Let's call it the reliance of dialogue. But then again, I have to remind myself that this originally did come from Japan. It did come from a country that is, for the lack of a better term, foreign to me. I mean, there will be aspects about the UK, for example, that will be foreign to the Japanese people as well, and sometimes that's just kind of like how it is. But that's not going to necessarily take away from this experience overall. And so, did I like this really? Do I still like it as much as I did? Yes, I do remember. I enjoyed myself, because again, for the first episode, they'd have to like. The first episode really of doing like anything is still really difficult, because they have to establish certain things like setting, narrative, characters, themes, and all that. And even though one of the biggest problems I'll get to later on is that Rosario Vampire, the anime, suddenly appears to suffer significantly from the lack of a narrative. This is something that you won't see at all in the manga and that. And if I was to do like a review of the manga, that is, trust me, that is very, very tempting to do. There are certain things I would have to make explicitly clear. And again, you can almost think of like this channel sort of like Cinema Sins in real life. But then again, and I apologize in advance if my opinions about this show, and they're going to persist over the next couple of months. After once Rosario Vampire is done and I move on to another anime, for example, and so my opinions are going to be, let's call them rather critical. It's only because, well, as a writer myself, you've got to take a look at these things in a very certain way. I mean, you've got to take into I'm gonna like explain all these things possibly when they arise in the episodes to come, and that is going to do it for my reaction / review of episode 1 of Rosario Vampire. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye for now.